Hi, my name is Maisha Henry, and I go by Mrs. Henry with my students. And so today I am going to present to you a lesson on fractions. And so this is Common Core Standards, California Common Core Standards 3.NF.1. And so I want to incorporate real life fractions and basically discuss how I would introduce fractions to my third grade class. And it would start off, so I want to apply this lesson to all learners. And so we would start off by going over keywords. So I did a board of the keywords that I would like to start off with. And so some of the keywords that I always discuss in my fraction, when teaching fractions, is fraction. What is a fraction? So to start that off, I would also go over, I present a PowerPoint presentation to my students. I like to use real life applications and real life items and manipulatives when teaching fractions. It just makes it more engaging and more interesting for kids. They get involved. So as I'm going through my presentation today, I chose to use chocolate chip cookies. Students always love using food. So sometimes I use gummy bears. I use something that, usually most kids don't have allergies to. So I definitely check with parents and get clearances before we bring food manipulatives into our math. But I always use something small, some type of food item, a goldfish cracker, something that makes it just more fun and exciting for the kids. They get really pumped up over food. But anyway, I also use my digital technology. So I have a presentation on introducing fractions. And so I start off with a fun, engaging video on what is fractions. And then we review the key words. So introducing fractions, fractions show a part of a whole. And so I say, let's explore how fractions actually work. So as we explore how fractions actually work, I go back and forth from my digital presentation that I created, and then I go back and forth to my whiteboard, and we explore fractions. We talk about simple fractions. So fractions represent a part or a whole of something. So then I go to my students and I say, what does that mean to you? So fractions represent a part or a whole of something. What is a part or whole of something? And so I call on students. I get various answers. Some people are dead on and some people are far off, but it's okay because it's a time for us to collaborate. We say, think, pair, share. What is a fraction? What do you think a fraction is? If we say that a fraction represents a part or a whole of something, can you draw it out on your paper, on your whiteboard in front of you? Can you tell us what that means? And so they think, pair, share, and I give them about a couple minutes. And then they come back and they share their idea. So then I would go to them and I say, if I said a fraction represents a part or a whole of something, if I had one cookie, would this be a fraction? Some students will say no. Some students would say yes. So then my question would be, so why do you think this is a fraction? What makes this a fraction? And so I would give the student the opportunity to tell me this one cookie is actually a fraction because it is one whole cookie. And some students may say, no, this is not a fraction. So this is what I do at that point. We go and we talk about numerators and denominators. So the numerator is always the top of the fraction. It is the part of the fraction that is above the line. So we go over here to our examples. Students, what would be the numerator? If the numerator of a fraction is part of the fraction that is above the line, where would that be? And so think, pair, share. Again, students would talk amongst their friends, and then I would ask for anyone who would like to share their answer. So some may point to the right answer. I allow them to come up to the board, show me what they believe the numerator would be. And then we discuss denominator, another key word. The denominator is the number that is placed below the fraction line. So what is the fraction line? I talk to my students. What do you think the fraction line is? Take 1 minute and talk amongst your partner. Then I would call on someone to say, can you come up and tell me what you think the fraction line is? Where do you think the fraction line is? If the numerator is the part of the fraction that is above the fraction line, and the denominator is the number that is placed below the fraction line. Numerator, denominator. Where do you think the fraction line would be in this problem? And so then students get excited, they raise their hand, and so at that point I would call somebody up and they would point out what the fraction line is. This is our fraction line, and our fraction line separates a whole number into a fraction, which becomes a part of a whole. So back to the cookie. Is this a fraction? Then I would say, how many people believe this is a fraction? Raise your hands. And so at that point, we're doing discourse. Thumbs up if you think it's a fraction. Thumbs down if you don't think it's a fraction. And so we go through those different things. And this is just allowing students to have a moment to take in what fractions are, take in the key words. And so we go over to another board that I've also written out what is a fraction. Again, we talk about part of a whole. So a fraction is a number that expresses equal parts of a whole object or a set of objects. And so we talk about what is a part of a whole. What do you think a part of a whole is? So if we defer back to our cookies. So if we say 1, 2, 3, 4, this makes one whole pack of cookies, 4 cookies in one pack. If I gave Thomas 1 cookie out of the pack, would I still have a whole pack of cookies? Thumbs up if you think we still have a whole pack. Thumbs down if you think we don't have a whole pack. So we go through the answers that the students give us. And some would say no. And some would say yes. So we would go to say he would no longer have 1 whole pack of cookies. So what fraction of the cookies did we give to Thomas? So if we gave him 1, how many cookies do we have? We want to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. We do all of this together as a class. We take 1 away, okay? So what portion of the fraction, what portion of the package of cookies did we take away? We all agree, 1. We took away 1 cookie, 1. We took 1 from what number? What number? What was the whole number for the whole pack of cookies? 1, 2, 3, 4. Do we all agree there were 4 cookies in that package? Yes, no, again, thumbs up. So I see most students have thumbs up. So then we would say, okay, Cassidy, you didn't have your thumb up. What do you think? And whatever answer she gives, then I would go into further details and further explain how 4, this 1, 2, 3, 4 is 1 whole. 1 whole in this case would be 4 over 4. That would equal our 1 whole. When I do that, I lose many of the students. And it's okay, because we're going to walk this out. We're going to do it all together. 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 cookies came out of this 1 package. So these 4 cookies equals 1 whole package of cookies. Now, when we start splitting these cookies up, If Jackson asked for half of Cassidy's cookies, how many cookies would we pass Jackson? We would think, pair, share. Tell me what you talk to your neighbors, come back and tell me. So then they would go and they would say, we would come up with 2. 1, 2. So if I gave Jackson 2 and I gave Cassidy 2, how many cookies do they have? Do they have 1/2? Do they have 1/3? So we would get to 2 cookies from 4 is 1/2. 4 is 1 whole. 2 is half. 2 of 4 equals half. So we now know that 2/4 of the cookies go to one person and 2/4 of the cookie go to the next person. I explain, whatever number we have that was part of the whole 1, 2, 3, 4, that number goes on the bottom. You create the fraction by how you split up these cookies. So if I gave 1 cookie to someone and left 3 cookies, we still would be over 4, but we gave away 1/4 of those cookies. Now, if I gave away 1, 2, 3 cookies, what would our fraction be? Show of hands. I'm calling on you. Okay, take a guess. What do you think the fraction would be? 1, 2, 3. Excellent. So we keep our 4, and you said 3. And guess what? You're absolutely correct, because the fraction is part of a group. We know the group is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So again, if we gave away just 1, okay, we're going to different ways to represent this fraction. We can represent this fraction with these cookies. These are our manipulatives right now. 1/4 would be to remove that 1. Okay? 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here is part of a group. 1/4 is shaded. We have 4 circles. Can you tell me how many is shaded? Right, 1. Here we did the number line. 1, 2, 3, 4. We shaded. Also, I would show my students the fraction bar is another way to figure out fractions. And last would be the fraction circle. When working with EL students, my English language learners, I give them different ways to represent a fraction using real life items, which is why I incorporated the cookies, also giving them multiple different ways. I use my PowerPoint presentation, I use my YouTube videos, and then my key thing is that my key element is to continuously go over the key words so that all of my students can completely understand what fractions are and what are the parts of fractions and what the definition of a fraction is and how to break it down and how to get an answer in different ways. So I really show them the teaching of how to get different answers to represent the fraction. So we go over part of a group, number line, fraction bar, fraction circle, manipulatives, real life items, and then usually most learners will get this. So I hope I presented this as best as I could. And I hope that this is a good way that not only English language learners would grasp the concept of fractions, but all learners. Thank you so much for your time.